Shavua Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Ketubot. We are up to Perek Daled, Mishnah Yud Aleph. Today's Mishnah should be Leilun Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana, Ranbayev, Eliyahu ben Burcha Yisraelo, ben Chana bad Miriam, Menuchatam began Eden, Amen, Leavdir ben Chaim lechaim, v'derefua shelema, of Daniel Shlom ben Rosa, betoch Shachole Israel. Another clause of the Ketubah, Benan Nukban Yehevyan Lichi Minai. Even if one did not write, female children that you will have from me, Yehevyan, Yatvan, Beveti, Umitaznan, Minichsai, Aditinasvan, Liguvrin, shall live in my house and be supported for my estate after my death until they become betrothed to the husbands. Chayav, he is obligated to fulfill this clause, Shutanai Bedin, because it is a Ketubah requirement decreed by Bedin. If a man dies, leaving young daughters, they are entitled to take property from his estate to pay for their food, clothing, shelter, and all of their needs. However, this entitlement lasts only until they reach the stage of Bagrut, or they are betrothed, whichever occurs first. Even if the husband did not write this in the Ketubah as a clause, he's still obligated to fulfill it, like we said, because it is a Ketubah requirement required by Bedin. That is then of Mishnah Yud Aleph. Mishnah Yud Bet cites another clause of the Ketubah, even if one did not write, after I die, you shall live in my house and be supported from my property. All the days of the duration of your widowhood in my house, Chayav, one is obligated to fulfill this clause, Shutanai Bedin, because it is a Ketubah requirement decreed by Bedin. However, as soon as she becomes betrothed or requests for Ketubah payment, she loses her right to lodging and support, as the Gemara says in Masechet Ketubot, page 54a. By asking for a Ketubah, she indicates that her attachment to her dead husband has ended and that she is ready to seek another husband, and therefore she has no further claim to support from his estate, as Rashi explains in Masechet Gitin, page 35a. Now the phrase "in my house" is repeated in order to teach that a widow's right to lodging applies only if the husband left a spacious home. If he left a small house or the hut that cannot accommodate the widow and his heirs, the heirs may send the widow to her father's house and support her there. The Mishnah notes that the law was different in the province of Yehuda. The text quoted above was what the men of Yerushalayim would write in their Ketubot. Anshe Galil ayu chutvin ke Anshe Yerushalayim, and the men of Galil would write their Ketubot as the men of Yerushalayim did. Anshe Yehuda ayu chutvin, however, the men of Yehuda would write Ad she'otzua yorshin liten li ketubatich, you shall live in my house, etc., until my heirs wish to give you a Ketubah payment. Lefikach, therefore, in Yehuda, im ratzu yorshin nodin la ketubatah upotrin ota. If the husband's heirs wish, they may give the widow a Ketubah payment against her will and release themselves from their obligation to her. In Yehuda and Galil, however, where this provision was not added to the Ketubah, the heirs could not force the widow to accept her Ketubah. Instead, they had to keep supporting her for the duration of her widowhood, meaning until she voluntarily asks for a Ketubah or gets betrothed. And that is the Nabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Everybody should have a Shavua Tov. The Rav does explain, just before we conclude, Ven halacha ki anshe Yehuda, the halacha does not follow the people of Yehuda. And of course, Mansh only said, as long as she does not get married, v'shelo tava ketubata bevedin, and she did not request her ketubah in bedin, nizonit mishel bala, she is supported by the assets of her husband, v'dara bebet bebayit she'aita dara b'chaye balan, she lives in the same house as she lived with her husband, in the life of her husband, u'mishtameshet b'chol hakelim she'aita mishtameshet behen b'chaye ba'ala, and she uses all of the utensils that she was accustomed to using in the life of her husband. And that is the Nabotai of today's Mishnah Yomi. Everybody should have a Shavua Tov. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.